Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, we are going to break down the XAT 2025 exam pattern, and then we'll look closely at the decision making section, right? So I believe that this is the one area that truly differentiate that from all other MBA entrance tests, right or not? So the first part is that 2025 pattern overview. Well, if I talk about that, let me first talk about the structure of the exam. JAT 2025 had a total of 75 questions, or you can say that all total 95 questions. And if you consider that 75 questions and 20 questions from the GK, right, that are divided into two parts. So the part one is 170 minutes, the main section. So this part had 75 questions spread across three sections, right? So verbal ability and logical reasoning, you would find out 26 questions. Decision making, 21 questions, which is known as a DM. And the third one, which is known as a quantitative aptitude and data interpretation. So QA and BI, which carries 28 questions. Isn't it? All three sections share a combined time of 170 minutes, right? It means you can switch between them freely and plan your own strategy, right? Then the second part is known as the 10 minutes, which is a separate section, general knowledge that carries 20 questions. And if I talk about that, GK doesn't affect your percentile, but it is considered by XLRI at the interview stage, isn't it? Now, the part two, which I would like to tell that, which I want to discuss here, is called as a decision. Now, if I talk about that decision making, what makes making special? Now, let's understand that the highlight of the exam, right? The decision making section. So, in the decision making section, we find out that 21 CQs are there, right? And each carries 1 mark, right? And each incorrect answer at 0.25 negative mark, isn't it? So, and this section is not about maths, not about formulas, not about vocabulary. It is all about the judgment, isn't it? So, what happened here? You are given a real world scenarios, business conflicts, ethical dilemmas, stakeholder issues, and you need to pick the solution that is actually, you can say, that is practical, ethical, sustainable, and aligned with the passes, isn't it? So that's what. Then the part three, which would be known as a what? What JAT test through the DM. If I talk about the DM section, that checks both things. What are they? Means you can say your ability to analyze a situation, your sensitivity to multiple stakeholders. Third is called as your choice of sustainable and ethical solutions. Then four is called as your practical judgment under constraints, isn't it? So it is designed, you know, to mirror the decision managers make it the real one. Right? So why students find DMT? The reason many students struggle is simple. You can say that team is not formula based, like I said. There is no fixed chapter to memorize. And in many questions, 2 to 3 options that look correct. That's why a structured method is the main part to solve it, isn't it? So the another part is also there, which is known as how to approach DM. When we talk about approaching DM decision making or to crack DM efficiently, one must use a systematic framework. That's called as the simplest and most effective one is the four-step engine, which I consider that four-step engine. One is known as a uh, scan the case. You can say that four-step engine. One is called as a scan the engine, right? Which is known as a what identifying stakeholders and after objectives, constraints, and the main issue. Second one can be called as a frame, isn't it? Second one is known as a frame, which is needed for 30 to 45 seconds. So, in which one has to decide what matters the most: profit, relationships, ethics, sustainability, isn't it? So, beside that, also, the third one which we point out here, it's called as a evaluate option. Evaluate each option, check feasibility, check the stakeholder impact, check incentives, and look at the long term effects. Then finally, we go for the confirm. That's called as a 15 to 30 seconds. And in this, one has to rule out the hidden risk, make sure alignment with the passes, isn't it? So these are the couple of things that one has to know. Then this actually gives the kind of a questions answer that how means how these four-step engine help a candidate to crack DM efficiently. Right. Then we'll move for the next one, which is known as why this matter actually. It matters. It matters, or they matter. They matter for XLRI, right? Because XLRI is famous for what? Valuing ethics, fairness, and stakeholder sensitivity. This is why DM is so crucial. It reflects your managerial thinking. Think of it. Right on. A strong DM score can make a candidate lift means, his or her percentile, even if any other section that feels moderate to him, isn't it? So now that is the complete breakdown of the JAT 2025 pattern with the spatial focus on decision making. So let me go to the details of it and uh, I'll help you in that to uh, how to know all these four steps. Okay. So we'll go for the step-by-step method. So in a detailed manner, the first step, if you talk about that, the first step is what we can say how you can make the practice so that your time limitation will be reduced. The first step is called as read first, isn't it? So the first thing is called as read first, map essentials. Why? Because when I talk about read fast, because who are the stakeholders? You need to, when you read it, you draw the idea who are the stakeholders. The stakeholders are the clients, the stakeholders are the boss, or the stakeholders are the customers, staff, community. That is the first thing. So that is why when you read fast, you make a map. So second is called as what does each stakeholders want, lose or gain. So stakeholders want what? So they want to lose or they want to gain. What is the desire? Third is called as are there explicit constraints? So explicit constraints means referring to contracts, quotas, rent, time, legal. So these are the things. So what is the primary problem? So that also you need to find out and make a one-line summary mentally, isn't it? The second one is known as identify the object, right? Or identify the objectives. This is the step two. In this step two, what we need to do, we need to identify the objects. So the most important thing is called as you need the prompt actually usually ask best. Generally, the question which is having with the keyword that is known as a best in a capital letter. So decide whether best equal to protect relationships, maximize profit, minimize risk, sustain growth, or maintain reputation. What? So when the question is asked about best, so your decision must be whether best equal to what? To protect, maximize profit, minimize risk, sustain growth, maintain a reputation. So because that's what often humans they try to figure out. Often there are two, primary plus secondary. So your job is to what to pick and prioritize, isn't it? So another thing is called as a step three, which we say that uh, that is identify red flag. Identify red flag lines. So in this, one's job is to what? Look for words. Look for words like contractually, repeat client, or you can say that, yeah, repeat client, incentivize, sustainability, risk of attrition, um, immediate, long term. So these tell you what to value. Like that is why red flag. You need to point out that when you find out such kind of a thing, you need to um, give them the tag called as a red flag. Then the other one is called as a step four, rapid option screening. So for each option means one has to run the mini test, right? You can say that use mental shorthand, we can say. So rapid option screening, like the first thing is called as a feasibility. So feasibility means while you are reading all these options, so obviously we know that what five of the options are there. So read the each questions and try to ask yourself, can it be done now with available resources? Yes or no, right? So client or stakeholder reaction, will it hurt main relationship? Yes or no? Incentives, does it align with people's incentives? Avoiding moral hazard. Sustainability, is it a one off fix or an, you can say, ongoing solution? So, side effects, any likely negative knock on effects are there or not? So, if an option fell, any of these badly, eliminate it. Got my point. So, then we have a step five, which is known as a tie break among survivors, right? So, in tie break among survivors, what do we find out? If two or more options pass, if two or more options pass, prefer the option that preserves core stakeholder relationship and is least disruptive, right? Second means prefer gradual phased co-design solution over abrupt ones, right? Then the third is called as a prefer options that change incentives. So the problem is solved structurally rather than just temporary reliefs, isn't it? So then we have our step six. So final sanity check. When we say that final sanity check, it means you need to make sure answer doesn't violate facts. Make sure what answer doesn't violate facts in the passage. Second, confirm it aligns with what best means in the vignette. So then the third is called a check. Check for hidden cost. So hidden cost means legal, moral, or contractual. Fine. Okay. Then rules to follow, right? So Please do remember, means these rules are uh, necessary, but the thing is that as the time is very limited, so what one has to do, one has to just means understand it, right? Let's say that. What are those rules? The first rule is called as never overwrite a client, right? So never override a client's explicit preferences. It means client equal to main value drivers in most big names, right? Second is called as second is you can say prefer suitable over short term, right? Temporary fixes may be tempting, but often wrong, isn't it? So temporary fixes often may be desired, but temporary fixes you can say that could possibly be desirable, but often go wrong, isn't it? Then third is called as avoid punitive or confrontational moves. So when I say that avoid punitive or confrontational moves, unless the passage explicitly says aggression is justified, right? So understood this. So the next one, which we can say that mm, respect incentives and contracts, isn't it? So do not suggest something that violates contracts or bonus rules unless the passage allows it, right? So then the fifth one is called as choose options that change future incentives. Let's say that training, co-training, phased exposure over one-time free buys, isn't it? So then next is called as if options are closed, choose the least disruptive, isn't it? So when we say that if options are closed, choose the least disruptive, it means co-train, pilot programs, phased rollouts, so all such kind of things. Then seven is called as do not infer facts not given. So if the facts are not given, do not infer that. Only huge possible inferences directly supported or suggested by the passes. Got. Then we have a eight number. When a senior or leader is involved, prefer diplomacy plus occasional interest. So in that case, I can say that appeals to organizational health beat performance, personal traits. Then we have a ninth one, which can be pointed as ethics and reputation matter. Yes, avoid answers that could actually cause reputational loss unless the big net prioritizes profit above all. Then finally, if an option asks to force behavior mandate um, behavior, if an option asks to force behavior, mandate, fine, terminate, be suspicious because these often fail stakeholders' feasibility test, isn't it? Okay, coming to the next one. Yeah. So this one is known about elimination heuristic or called as a first stop shortcuts. Now, when we talk about elimination heuristic or first shortcut, eliminate when you have a DI, sorry, DM question. So in that case, your priority is called as look for the shortcuts and try to apply them. Like eliminate options that force clients to accept something, ignore existing commitments, or called as a demand unrealistic new resources, right? Second is called as eliminate options that are purely punitive, fines, trades, unless the passage describes, you can say that a prior breach. Then third is called as eliminate or nothing. all or nothing options which are given, like example, stop all discounts, fire or remove leader. So in that case, prefer incremental solution, isn't it? So another thing is called as eliminate options that contradict the organization's goals as stated in the passage. Example, if company wants to develop juniors, do not choose exclusivity for seniors. Last but not the least is called as your favor options that address root cause rather than symptoms. Right. So common question types and how to handle them. So when we talk about common question types and how to handle them, the first one which is pointed here, it's called as allocation of opportunities between seniors and juniors. Like look for phased co-training, pilots, mentorships, or reassignment that preserve client trust. Avoid forced reassignments or abrupt swaps. Second, it's called as a client retention versus change. Prioritize client relationships unless passes stresses cost passes stresses what cost savings over client. Co-train or gradual exposure is usually best or usually the best. So then the third one can be known as a conflict between colleagues. Choose solutions that are diplomatic and aligned with organizational goals. In that case, what you supposed to do? You supposed to propose training, share, load, restructure incentives, all such kind of things that you can do. Then fourth one is what? Competitive threat, new entrants, like first local a response plus differentiator, speed, service. It beats also trying to match price or heavy investments, small scale tactical responses often win. And finally, when we talk about that um, vendor displacement inside ecosystem. So let's say that residents or communities problems. So in that case, prefer negotiated solution that actually restore outside vendor possibility, discounted rent, coordination instead of punitive measures. Isn't it? The next, which we are going to discuss, is called as a quick checklist to run before answering. So when we run before answer, we need to follow with the what? Um, Identified a primary objective, right? Second, it's also known as you can say so ruled out or sorry, you can say that marked constraint and incentives. Then third is called as ruled out options that violating constraints or contracts or explicit facts. Even you also say that what chosen sustainable least disruptive solution. Then fifth is called as considered the stakeholder reactions and you can say that secondary effects, isn't it? Okay. Uh, Even you find out the last one, which I so we can also say that what confirmed alignment with the passage tone, people, profits, and ethics, isn't it? Another thing is called as time management. That's a very important thing, practical tips. So when you go for the time management, first pass in test, answer easy DM questions first, right? So for each DM, follow the four-step engine, which I said earlier. I don't want to repeat that. So for each DM, follow the four-step engine. So don't overanalyze. Second, it's called as you can say uh, if uh, sorry, third one, if type after evaluation, refer code training, paced pilots, controlled experiments, these are often the correct life, right? So even sample mental phrases, you can say that that help justify choice using while evaluation. So the first one can be called as a preserves client relationships while developing juniors. Second is called as shifts incentives rather than imposing penalties. Third is called as a list disruptives and sociable. And fourth one is called as a directly addresses the root cause, lack of exposure with the minimal side effects. Isn't it? Now, the um, so the next one, which we can point out as a means common traps and how to avoid. When we talk about common traps and uh, how a candidate avoid them, so the first thing is called as what is that trap? Trap is called as picking the most charitable sounding option, sympathy bias. So avoid test feasibility and incentives, possibility and incentives. Second trap, you can say that picking the most aggressive option because it seems decision making or decisive, which is wrong. Avoid, avoid that and check stakeholder backlash. Right. So third is called as a third trap is called as a assuming best. Assuming best means what? Immediate profit. Avoid. Read Vignette for cues, sustainability, retention, morale. Trap, you can say that for. Ignoring contractual language. Avoid. Reread lines that mention contracts, bonuses, review cycles. Right? And the last one, which can be called as another trap, selecting options that you rely or that depend on heavily on magic, resources, new app, and massive hiring when not supported. Right. So these are the couple of things that one has to follow. Then next is called as what? Yes, practice drills. What's that practice drills actually? So generally when we talk about practice drills, we are saying that they help want to, improve, right? Let's say that how do you do the practice? Now you have very little time in your hand. It's not even 1 month, right? So, but I would say that what take 20 GM passes, time yourself 3 to 4 minutes for each. Afterward, write 1, 2 lines justification for the chosen option, right? Second is called as for each wrong answers in practice, ask which of the five tests that called as a feasibility, stakeholders, incentives, sustainability, side effects. So those are the things. Killed it. Third, you can say create elimination trees, list why each option fails or works in 2 to 3, points you can give. Four, you can go with the practice. Tiebreakers, make a rule-based tiebreaker, isn't it? Um, rule-based tiebreaker list. So, save relationship, change incentives, minimize the cost, or do the speed. Then the fifth, which if I say, it's called as a simulate stakeholders. Simulate stakeholder conversations, practice how you would explain the chosen move to a CEO or called as a senior or senior, you can say that senior trainer isn't it? CEO or senior trainer. So this actually sharpens diplomacy choices, isn't it? Then, if I talk about that, um, that's called as a final note on mindset, right? But let's say that what do we talk about the final note on mindset? Uh, I could say that what that DM test practice judgment, isn't it? And people sensitive trade-offs, not clever theory. Second is called as it support realistic, incremental, incentive compatible actions. So therefore, your job is to be explicit in thought, define best, quickly, and allow that drive elimination. Right? Those are the things that you can follow. So if I talk about that template to structure your in-head justification for 30 to 40 minutes or 40 words, what I could say that what uh, you can take any of the option. Let's say that if the option X is the best, why, right? So always carry that short template mentally to validate your pick. That if this option is taken A, B, C, D, E, which is best, why? Is it addressing the root cause, exposure or incentives? Two, is it preserving key relationships, client or senior? And three, is it feasible and sustainable given the constraints described? Isn't it? So these are the things that you need to follow when you go for the DM or decision making questions. I hope you understood those of the things which have been pointed here. And I'll do one thing, means I'll give you a couple of DM questions, right? Even means if you want, you can download the DM questions. At least 27 questions are given um, that you can download in the comment section, right? So, and do practice, follow the process which I pointed here, and